guys, today I'm gonna be reacting to a video called What Do Europeans Really Think of Americans? So I'm hoping it's gonna be something a little bit nicer and they're not gonna take it, like they're gonna take it easy on them because I don't know, I don't want them to be a little bit mean, but I don't know, it's making me a little bit scared. But let's check it out and comment, like, subscribe.
What are your impressions of America right now?
So this kind of like consumerist way, I didn't really like it, to be honest. Like I didn't see humbleness in it.
Okay.
My impression is that the country is pretty divided.
Maybe like very polarized country.
They're pulling in so many different directions. Each one of them is getting more and more radical, it seems like.
What you sold us in movies and on other media is not what real America is.
Well, that's absolutely true.
I think the news are just so negative that it's easy to forget that it's also, in many ways, like, it seems to me a great country.
What
that's
do
nice.
European people think of Americans? Keep watching this video to find out.
Okay, so Scandinavia.
All Europeans have kind of like gotten kind of like a superiority complex towards Americans. Like
That's true.
I think a lot of Europeans are like, there's just so much stuff and so many people in America who just seem so like out of it. Like it's just so many weird ways of thinking that. But I think I don't think it's true that Europeans aren't that way. It just seems that there are more Americans who just can make themselves believe anything. And I think also like the politics in America, a lot of Europeans, especially Norwegians, we have kind of like a belief system which in many ways clashes with the American belief system, like with healthcare. A lot of that like individuality and capitalist system, and like in Norway abortion, we're more maybe? kind of and abortion, the intense like freedom, everybody does their own thing. I will not be limited by like gun laws and whatever. Like in Norway we're kind of like more of a we have more of a socialist foundation, so I think,
like it's about the community.
it's easy for Norwegians to kind of look down on Americans and think they're being like very stupid, but I don't think
like
it's true that all
inferior.
Americans, obviously not all Americans are like that, and it seems like there's a lot of differences between the states, but I don't know, it's just it's a very different belief system, I think.
Funny story, I was just in America for 6 months this spring.
Oh, wow. A lot of time.
I was an exchange student there in California. I've been to America a couple of times, and you know, it's always a great country to visit, but of course the media coverage isn't always
Positive?
projecting positive things. Like a lot of complications with the president or with the abortion laws, and I feel like the country, my impression is that the country is pretty divided, and just into two different parties. So you know, if you hear a lot of things that you maybe don't think
It's kind of crazy because I think the United States, like from the beginning, from the earlier, like how, you know, when politics started in the USA, like it's always been like either Democrats or the Republicans, and it has always been like that two-party system since like forever. So it is like, it's kind of crazy that it's like more highlighted these days, but if you think about it, it's been like that since like forever. And I know there's like other parties, but like, let's keep it real, like those are the only parties that actually like do make a dent, and then that they have the power to either like move things in one direction or the other. So it's kind of crazy that most people are like, wow, it's like the two-party system. It's like, yes, it's always been like that, just that it's been like way more like focused on like in the past few years.
is the best way to solve some issues. But all in all, America has always been like the big brother of the North, Norway. So no, it's not all bad.
I've not been to America so much. I visited her in Easter. So most of the knowledge about America comes from the media, and as she said, it seems to be a bit divided into two parties. That's pretty much what I know.
I think people think it's very chaotic,
Yes.
very polarized.
Okay, it's chaotic because it's polarized.
Yeah, I think, but you know, it's now we're probably only going to mention the negatives, right? Because that's what you get in the news. So sure, America has problems, but so does
Norway.
So does everyone.
Yeah, all countries.
I think so. I think then the news are just so negative that it's easy to forget that it's also it's in many ways it seems to me a great country.
Yeah, like the negative
But I think people
overcomes
think about the things
positive.
they see in the news, and the news just tend to focus on bad things. Unfortunately, most people see America in black and white, which is what we should try not to do, because then
I like that.
we're just
Everything's not good or
polarized in a sense.
Yeah, or bad. There's like a gray area.
We're reinforcing that that polarization. Yeah.
What's
Oh my
your
God, okay,
impression
Poland.
of people in my country, or just my country in general right now?
I guess very friendly and extroverted and talkative. I guess this is maybe like very polarized country when it comes
Again,
to
they're
like
polarizing.
politics that is very conservative and like capitalistic.
How I see America and Americans right now, it's a big contrast, and yeah, I would say the country of getting more and more. Sorry, difficult for me to express this, but express.
No, but I get what he means.
It looks like it could be both very engaged, very scientific, and you know, leader in many fields. And on the other side, it's also a country of coming with the most dumb ideas and you know, very
It's like two opposites.
shallow approach to the life and so on. So
Shallow. That's harsh.
a lot of contrast, and you know, thinking about politics. Such a big country, and you cannot find a single person that could be a really decent president.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way in Poland. I mean, there's nearly 40 million of us, and yeah, we didn't.
No
have
one
a
could.
president
Yeah.
either, so
No one can agree.
Somehow, this is a thing. I would say politically, we consider right now it's more stable having Biden as a president. Of course, Trump was considered as somebody totally unpredictable.
Like a hazard.
Not really the guy of politics, and we could see these days also some reports that probably not the most ethical person. And you know, the way we see it also, that it's country probably good for young and wealthy people, healthy people and wealthy people.
Yeah.
Because in a way,
Not so
we
much
hear, you know, the cost
others.
of the healthcare, for instance, seems not to be the way that developed country should handle it.
Of course.
But on the other hand, we see it from the distance. We are not living there, so it's just an impression. We don't know how it is.
Okay, great point. Yeah, he's like, at the end of the day, I don't really live there, so who knows?
What would you say are your impressions of America right now? Of the people there, of the country? Like,
I've never been, you know, so
Yeah.
I cannot really judge. Like, when I used to live abroad, I met a lot of Americans. To be honest, I didn't have the best experiences. But that's
Oh my God, what
those
happened?
people, right? So
Yeah.
I had this, and also, you know, I consume a lot of like American TV and a lot of
American
movies,
media,
you know. So I
yeah.
think, you know, in the middle of Europe, we get a lot of your culture,
Yeah.
you know, in this kind of lens from the movies and the music, and so we actually know a lot without even being there, you know.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, I find beauty in it, but like I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, so this kind of like consumerist way that you think, or at least what I witnessed with this couple of people I met during my journey.
She's like, I don't want to point
it,
fingers
to
at
be
you.
honest. Like, I didn't see humbleness in it, you know.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't the
You're
best
entitled.
experience. But obviously, I met some, like, you are a really nice guy, you know.
Thank
like,
you.
She's like, I don't want to offend you.
actor who was really cool, you
Oh,
know,
really?
like he was so sweet, you know, and so kind and so respectable, you know, like, so I mean, I don't really think you can generalize people, you know, you have different experiences with different people. So.
Yeah, they're like, I think there's like types of people overall.
Yeah,
like there's a
for
certain
sure.
culture, but then when you get down to individual level,
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's
Exactly. So
different.
I don't want to say like I'm not
Oh.
into it, you know, because
Yeah.
I don't know, you know. And
Yeah,
I'm
I don't know
sure
any-
if I would go
everyone.
there and experience it for myself. Like for instance, California, I'm sure it's beautiful. And,
Yeah.
You know, there are so many things to do and so many nice people to meet.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, and you have really great artists, you know, so
Yeah.
that you brought out into the world. So
It's very creative.
yeah, exactly.
place.
Exactly.
I think you guys are kind of crazy.
Okay.
Why?
Like, there's just, you're pulling in so many different directions, and each one of them is getting more and more radical, it seems like.
Politics.
There's no more common ground, or at least it's shrinking.
Yes.
And
And you think it's both sides. It's not just like one. It's not like one side or the other.
I mean, I'm all for like left-leaning stuff. Like it's
Yes.
fine, but you can take it to an extreme that like a semi-conservative person would not be okay with, and I don't think that's doing anyone any favors.
Yeah.
Like you can have reforms and still kind of keep with the culture or keep with like values that other people still feel important to them.
You have to compromise.
So I don't. It's very different from any other place in the world. Like I don't. To me, it's just. I don't know. They're just going in too many different directions.
I'm just curious what your thoughts are on America and like the people of America at this state in time.
I think you American people did it very well with Hollywood and all that stuff, but when you get a little bit into the U.S. culture,
Like entertainment is
find
fine.
that what you sold us in movies and on other media is not what real America is, what real US is. And it's true that while the time is going by, we are starting to understand that US is not the center of the world, and we don't have to strictly follow what US is saying and what US people are thinking. I know that also US is divided into West and
Oh my god, everyone's like, it's divided.
I don't know, I think the whole world is changing, and the globalization in English, it's also making people understand that you can get the best parts from all the countries.
Yeah, you don't have to
course,
adapt completely.
US has very good things to
Adapt?
aportar, to give
Yes.
to the world. But it's true also that the European people or people from many other countries can also give a lot to
To them, yeah. Okay, so I think probably the most like interesting part to me about this video is that basically everyone, and I think, yeah, everyone was like, they mentioned like several things, but they were like, it's a pretty divided country. Like it's coming, like it's both sides. They're going into like, it's both extremes, and they're going to like different, like, wow, like they're both pulling in like different directions, but it's like divided. It's a divided country. And it's kind of crazy to me. It's like, wow, you know, I can't believe they went to Norway, Poland, Hungary, and Spain. And they all of them said, like, random people on the street, they all said it's a divided country, which I think it's crazy, because even though they're coming from like different perspectives, and you know, they don't actually like live there, like what comes across, and I think that maybe like does tell you like what the media is like putting out in the world, is, you know, you're seeing the news and you're like, wow, yeah, like this country is like, it's going through a rough time. And not that, again, it's like not all countries are perfect. Like, I don't think there's like one particular country that you can say like, oh, it's perfect. Maybe some people are going to be thinking, oh no, where I live is the ideal thing for me. And okay, well, good, more power to you. But I think it's more about like, I think there should be like fewer people that maybe don't really have any complaints about like the city and the country that they live in. I think it's a fewer part or a less part of the population than what I think. I don't know. I'm thinking, because I think usually people do get like a lot of things to complain, even though if you would. And I think it's that the grass is greener from the other side. I think that's totally true. And I think when you are looking at things from like your perspective and you're seeing like how other people live, you're probably thinking, oh wow, like they have like those incredible lives, that country is perfect, this is like the city I want to live in. And maybe when you go and you really look at like the nitty gritty, or maybe you actually start living there, you're gonna have like, oh, you know what, maybe it wasn't like as perfect as I thought. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It just means that, you know, things, again, you tend to think of like things are always better because you're maybe lacking some of those things. And it's only when you're there is that you start to see like the full picture, and you're like, oh, well, you know, hold on, you know, give me 2 seconds. And again, so it is on one hand, I think that's definitely true. But I think on the other, maybe it's a bit of like, and not that obviously this is not that I'm not saying like this occurred there, but I think there's also a little bit of like, maybe if you see like there's a huge global superpower, it's the United States. I think that's undeniable. And maybe some things I think there's like when they are going through, like when you look at the news and there's like maybe some negative news, like a lot of them, it's not maybe that positive. And you're thinking, wow, like it's such a like big country and such a like powerful country, like the United States, like can have like those problems. Like maybe if you come from like a smaller country, maybe you're thinking, wow, you know what? Like they have their problems too. So maybe like my problems are not that bad. Or maybe you start seeing like in comparison, it's like maybe we have some issues, but they're nowhere near as big as the ones that are in the United States. And it's funny because maybe you would ask some people, some American people, and probably it would be the other way around. They would be like, well, we have problems here in the United States, but oh no, nothing compared to, I don't know, Poland. I don't know. So it is kind of funny that again, you're always constantly thinking both of like what's lacking in your own country, and you're comparing yourself to them like, oh, thankfully I don't live there, or wow, what a nightmare to live there. And it goes, but also like I think it can be interesting to be like, well, you know what, like things could be worse. So maybe at least I'm not going through that, or my country, they don't have that. So I think it's both like it's something to think about it. I think that was like, you know what, it's kind of true. But I do like the fact that there's like the one guy that was like, I think that when you take out like the rules, I think both of them, I think there were like 2 people that said this, that it was like you take out like the rose-colored glasses and you start seeing like not everything is as perfect. Because I think maybe in the past there was like this, maybe before the internet, or maybe like he said like before like globalization, I think there was like this, maybe this push of like, oh, you know, the United States, the American dream, like it's just like the line of opportunities, like everything's perfect. And because again, like maybe media, because obviously like you have Hollywood, which is like so again, it's like, so it has influenced like so many different parts of the world, different like, I don't know, perspectives. Like it has gotten like Hollywood films and just like a lot of films, and not that films are not really made in other countries, of course, but Hollywood is like the biggest like place where they make movies. And I think a lot of the things that people in just like serious shows and films, I think a lot of like the idea that people have about the United States has come from that, because again, such a like huge, powerful industry that I think, you know, everyone has seen an American show or has seen an American like film at some point in their lives. You know, you've probably seen a few of them, a lot of them, but maybe if you're not like, oh, I'm not really that big of a fan, you've still, like, chances are you're still, you know, have seen some of them. And if you're not a fan of that, well, again, it's like media culture, like the news are always like so influenced by the United States, because again, it's just like global superpower that it's kind of like impossible to escape from it all, that you just like, you have to, like, it's gonna happen. Maybe if you're like, no, I don't want to hear anything about this country, it's impossible. Like, you're still gonna hear it, you're still gonna listen to it if you consume like some sort of media. So I like that he was like, we're taking like a bit of like a step back and realizing like, no, is not like a role model. Like they have their own problems. And again, you're taking out the rose-colored lenses and you're seeing, oh wow, things are not as portrayed in the media or as in shows or, as this perfect little like life that you have there. It's like, no, it's not like that. They really do have like a lot of problems. And again, I think maybe that comes with like, that has come with the internet and maybe like the whole vision of like the American dream. Maybe I think in the past it was like more of a thing to aspire and people wanted to move there because they thought like, oh, the United States, like people live there, they lead perfect lives. And that's obviously, they don't really have the problems that I have in this country where I live or whatever. Because that was what was being sold. That I think, again, in the past, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, I have no idea. But I think maybe younger people these days are more aware of like the problems that the United States has. And you are aware of like, no, that's fake. It's not the reality. And it's not always perfect, and it's not that idea of like, oh, the white picket fence, for the family and the kids, like, and the dad comes and like dad comes home at 5 p.m. and like everything's perfect. It's like, no, it's not really like that. And I think also something that's like, and it's good that we are, as a society in other places, I think it's good that people are realizing, that's not the American dream. That doesn't really exist. Maybe it does exist up to a certain point, but not to this extreme of like, oh, everything's perfect. And no, it's like, it's not really like that. They do really have a lot of problems. And also, I think a lot of the problems that they have also, I think, can be traced back to that sort of like idea and the idealism of like, this is what you should aspire to, which I think ties a lot with capitalism and consumerism, and there's like a lot of other things, and they can be tied to that, and they can be traced back to that. So it is to those concepts, which I find interesting. And also one of the people was also like saying, oh, Americans tend to be like, she had like a bad experience with Americans. And it was like, well, I don't want to generalize, but they were like very entitled. And obviously, again, it's like, it's not that everyone's like that, but it's kind of funny that she, again, is the stereotype of like the rude American that expects to everyone there, like, I don't know, they're the center of the world and everything should cater to them. And she was like, I had an experience that it was very negative and they were like that. So it is like, I don't, it's obviously like you're not like that, but it's like, it's kind of crazy that, again, it's a cliche. You can see why people think that about people in the United States. It's because of things like that. And it's because of people that behave like that. That's why they have that sort of fame and they, their reputation precedes them. It's because of people, like that. But I do something that's really like interesting to me is, again, the whole like, no, you have to like, there's like in recent years, there's more like, wow, everything in the United States is not as it seems. And there's like a little bit of like that fakeness going on and that thing of like, they're very divided and everything's not as they're, it's not all that it's turned out to be. I think when you actually like get there and you live there, you can see like, wow, it's not really like that. And also I think something very important, a point that one of them made is that that's not what you see in the media, both fictional and in the news. It's not more, I think a little bit less in the news, but I think something like that's not the real America. And I think that's very important because, again, you get to have like this image in your head of like how the United States actually is. And especially I think in media, it's not really that portrayed and you think, oh, everything's like very cool. Like they usually it's like in big cities and everything's like, oh, it's awesome. Like, oh, everything's like that. The reality is that a lot of it, I think over half of the United States, like the population, like the way it's sort of like, they live in cities, they live in little towns, they don't really live, and they live in the middle of nowhere, because that's just the way that the United States is sort of like, made, the cities are made like that. So unless that you are actually from a big city, which is, I think, maybe even half of the population, I don't think even lives in those like big metropolitan cities, I would venture to say it's actually maybe like a quarter of the population or around it. And that's when you look at it like that, it's like, oh, if over half the population like doesn't really lead those lives, it's not being portrayed in the way you think. It's like, that's not the real America. That's not the real United States. Like the real United States, it's more, it's the suburbs and it's a bit of it can be like they have their own challenges. And I think that's really rarely portrayed in the media. I think in the last few years, there's been more of a push of like, you know, not everyone lives in this like fancy, perfect lifestyles in like New York or Manhattan or whatever. And it's like, yes, I think there's like a forgotten part of America that is not always, but I think commonly sort of like lost in the media. And again, something that I really found really interesting. It was like they were saying like it's not always positive. I think in the old, I guess like hubris, like everything's bad, and you start thinking like, oh, you know, all the news are negative, and you start thinking like, oh, the United States is like, it's a disaster, like it's a catastrophe, and it's like, not necessarily. Like when you go there, it's like, okay, people are like, not that all places are like that, but I think your perspective can change a little bit because maybe they're like, it's being sold to you as like this whole insane situation. It's like, again, maybe not in all places, maybe not all cities, and it's not like as bad as maybe some media portrays it out to be. And as well, like there's also like a lot of positive things that are a little bit lost, because I think when you rarely hear like positive news. All the news are bad, and it's like it's a shame, but you know, because you want to hear about like everything. When you look at the news, it's always like, oh, terrible things have happened, and it's always like, oh, breaking news, like there's some sort of like tragedies happening or something bad's always happening, and you get the sense of like, oh my god, can we get like one good news? It's like, yes, they do happen, but I think obviously like because the media is because people are less interested in consuming that, so the media doesn't give them that. It's more about like, yes, there are some good things happening. It's like, you don't really get to see that unless you're actively like searching for them. So you can see like you're surrounded in this area, in this sea of like terrible news that are coming from the United States, and like everything's bad, and this whole country is like, it's going to the trash. At least like, no, like, not, it's not like that. And I think maybe the reality is a little bit more like down the middle, that I think most people make very interesting points. But I think, again, it can all be traced back to how the media portrays it out to be, and how it portrays it now, and how it has portrayed it like back in, since the dawn of like, of time, and how when media started. But yeah, this was a very, very enlightening video, and I really enjoyed it, and that was it for today. Bye.